The air in the obsidian citadel was always cold, but Kaelen carried an internal chill far deeper than the mountain stone. The curse was a thief, constantly whispering of dust. The Northern Watch reports increased human movement near the Willow Creek border. "My king," Jarek stated, his voice a low, steady rumble. Kaelen knew he always knew. In fact, the curse was a shadow woven into his alpha core, constantly reminding him that vulnerability is lethal. "Increase the patrols by 20%, Kaelen commanded. "The barrier must hold." Jarek hesitated, stepping forward with a steaming mug of dark broth. Without warning, Kaelen slammed his palm down on the obsidian armrest. The stone cracked. "Take it back, Jarek," Kaelen bit out, his gold eyes flashing dangerously. "You know the rules." "My apologies, Your Majesty," Jarek whispered, "but the Council of Elders continues to question the severity of your condition." "Let them whisper," Kaelen said, his voice dropping. "The curse is the only thing that keeps this kingdom safe." Kaelen left the Citadel, trading his throne for the risk of the border. He shifted immediately. He ran, the cold mountain wind biting at his massive shoulders. As the wind shifted, his powerful scent flared, seeking anomalies. But then he caught another smell, the rancid, chemical scent of blight magic, the mark of the shattered sun coven. The fight was swift, brutal, and loud. However, as he prepared to deliver the killing blow, a final, poison knife flew from the mage's hand. Without warning, the blade scraped Kaelen's flank. The paralytic agent worked fast. Kaelen stumbled, his massive legs giving way. He was pinned, shifting back to human, vulnerable and exposed. "This is it," he thought, accepting the cold. "The curse didn't kill me, betrayal did." The smell of wet pine needles and thawing earth was Lyra's ordinary world. She felt it, clear as day, a disturbance, a massive intrusion of pain, not far from her isolated cabin. Something is terribly wrong. Her heart skipped. She followed the path. She found him, a man naked, colossal in size, lying down. As the wind shifted, the unique, terrifying scent of alpha hit her. Raw power, mingled now with the awful, clean smell of pure fear. He was dying of exposure. "Oh, you poor creature," Lyra whispered, kneeling beside him. He was like freezing granite. "If I touch him, I might die, but he is freezing." Without another word, Lyra placed the raw sunstone thistle leaves on his chest. Then she lay down beside him, folding her slight, human body over his massive, frozen form. "Hear my vow," she whispered as the silence roared. She made her promise. "I offer my spirit to keep the life in your body." Moments later, Lyra began to shiver violently. She pulled out a small, dark vial, the concentrated tonic, and forced the liquid down his throat. With every heartbeat, Lyra felt her own life draining, but a pure, fierce satisfaction flooded her, and she let it happen. A faint, almost invisible light began to flow from her skin into Kaelen. The curse, recognizing the ultimate act of uncompensated human aid, was consuming Lyra's life force to fuel his recovery. Kaelen woke warm, too warm. He sat up fast. No pain. The curse, it was gone. How? His thoughts spun. But then, he saw her. Lyra, she was utterly still, utterly dead in that moment. The raw reality of the impossible exchange crashed into him. She had sacrificed her life to fuel his healing. What followed was a primal, guttural groan of despair and fury. He had won his freedom, but paid the price with the life of his savior. Just like that, everything changed. He lifted her body. "I cannot accept this." He had to show them. He had to break the curse on his kingdom. But then, the alarm sirens began to wail, a screech that cut through the quiet. Kaelen's voice, amplified by his alpha power, boomed across the entire mountain valley. "Open the gates. I stand here, healed and free. The curse is broken. Because of this woman." Kaelen strode into the courtyard, shifting to human form, still holding Lyra's body. "Behold," Kaelen announced, his voice laced with agonizing reverence, "the price of our freedom. The curse is undone." Just like that, everything changed. "You lie. It is a trick." Thane, the lead elder, snarled. "No," Kaelen countered, "the curse was based on our fear. She annihilated the core magic, and the cure is temporary. It must be stabilized by honoring the sacrifice. The bloodline of the Sunstone must be bound to ours." "Where is her family?" Thane spat. She had a ward, Jarek supplied, a young woman she trained Lyra. Lyra, the name felt like a sudden, sharp intake of breath. Lyra's kin. I am going, Kaelen stated flatly, alone. If the council's agents find the girl first, they will eliminate her. Jarek warned. Then they will find that my will is stronger than their fear, Kaelen said without thinking. He left the Citadel. The Shadowwood was cold. Kaelen moved swiftly, humbled by the wildness to make things worse. He soon discovered the tracks of the council's covert agents. Tracking Lyra directly, he was in a race against his own pack. Lyra was hiding beneath the roots of an ancient juniper. Her breath caught as the wind shifted. She caught the scent. Shifters. Just like that, 3 figures materialized. She smells faintly of alpha, Fenris growled. Stay away from me. What do you want? Her voice trembled. But then, a blur of midnight first slammed into the trailing shifters. Kaelen. What followed was a brutal, visceral fight. Lyra was frozen in terror. She felt it, clear as day, the overwhelming power of the Alpha, yet he was fighting for her life. Kaelen disabled Fenris. She is under my protection, Kaelen growled. Next, Kaelen shifted back to human. Breathing heavily, he looked at Lyra. Lyra, he said, his voice softer than she expected when her name left his lips. It felt both like a question and a promise. It's deep, it needs stitching, Lyra murmured, the herbalist in her taking over because of that. Her professional focus was a shield against her terror. I don't require aid, Kaelen began. You do, Lyra cut in. You just saved my life, King. Not only that, but it also forces you to listen. Lyra, Alara taught me that true power isn't in what you keep, but in what you give away. Kaelen, she broke an ancient curse. The cure is unstable. I need you to come with me to the Citadel. Lyra, to be a prisoner? That's why they sent those shifters after me. What is the price of my freedom? Kaelen, freedom. I want you to be the Luna of the Borderlands. Lyra, you will be powerful. Maybe it was fate, but your presence is the only thing that can protect my kingdom. But you must come, because the council will not stop. Just like that, Lyra understood. I will come not for your politics, but rather for Alara. They reached the Citadel. Kaelen ushered her into the central courtyard, where Thane waited. You bring human filth into our sacred halls, Kaelen? Thane snarled. What followed was Kaelen making his boldest move. He pulled Lyra forward as fire bloomed beneath her skin. He traced a glowing, golden alpha mark onto her palm. She is now under my absolute protection, Kaelen announced, his voice ringing. Because of that, she is the future of our line. Any who oppose her, oppose me. The alpha mark throbbed faintly on Lyra's hand as the wind shifted. She caught a strange, metallic scent in the ventilation system. Thane was plotting again. Without thinking, Lyra followed the scent. She found the nexus point and 2 agents preparing a blight. What followed was a terrifying, sudden moment. Lyra focused her will, pouring energy into the chamber as if summoned. The chamber's air grew thick with pollen and the overwhelming life force of the earth. The disturbance was massive. The moment their eyes locked, Lyra screamed, a high, sharp sound that traveled instantly through the bond to Kaelen. Kaelen felt the scream rip through him like a knife. Her soul answered his protective command. He shifted instantly, tearing down the corridors. He would keep her safe. He burst into the chamber. Lyra, he roared, pulling her tightly against his chest. They will pay, they will all pay, Kaelen vowed. Not only that, but he knew the political war was now personal. Kaelen, thinking he was distracting Thane, left for the council's retreat. He pressed a jade amulet into Jarek's hand. Lyra must be accompanied by Torvin. It is the only way. Meanwhile, Lyra was guided into the lower caverns, but then, the amulet in Lyra's hand pulsed violently, then went cold. Just like that, everything changed. Without warning, a thick grate slammed down behind them, and ahead stood Thane. A simple trap, little healer, Thane sneered. Torvin, he was Thane's man. Thane, you will be held until Kaelen yields and accepts the purification trials. Lyra fought, screaming Kaelen's name as the silence roared in the closed cavern. Thane struck Lyra's head. She slumped, unconscious. Kaelen was mid-confrontation when the scream hit him, a psychic wave of terror and sudden darkness. The bond ripped apart in a moment of agony. By the time he reached the Citadel, Jarek was waiting with the cold, inert jade amulet. Kaelen sank to his knees in that moment. He was overwhelmed by his internal flaw. He had trusted political maneuvering over primal protection. Kaelen, a rough whisper, I failed. I sent her to her death because I was still fighting the Council's power instead of fighting for her life. Kaelen rose slowly from his defeat. He felt it, clear as day, the cold emptiness. I trusted strategy over instinct. I failed her. We will not be going to Thane's retreat, Kaelen commanded. Instead, we are going to the Borderlands. Why, my king? Thane wants to kill the bond in secret. I will complete the bond in public. Not only that, but Kaelen looked at the jade amulet. She may be able to send us a signal. Meanwhile, Lyra focused on the alpha mark. She poured all her latent spiritual energy into the chamber without warning. The stone swelled with rapid moss and deep-rooted thistles, releasing a powerful, concentrated sunstone scent. Lyra, whispering, he will find me. As the wind shifted, he will smell the sunstone. Kaelen caught it. A sharp burst of sunstone thistle, mixed with distress. Just like that, everything changed. The North Peak. Kaelen roared, shifting fully. I will be the target. I will lead them straight into the public spectacle you arrange, because the pack must see the human and the alpha unite, not fight. Kaelen's run was a blur by the time he reached the Borderlands altar. He was carrying Lyra and dragging Thane and his followers in his wake. Surrender, Kaelen. Or watch the bloodline of the Sunstone be extinguished here. Thane roared. The only treason here is yours, Thane, Kaelen declared. You tried to destroy the cure, because you fear the end of your tyranny. Lyra, Ilara's sacrifice proved that the curse was a test of generosity, not a law of isolation. What followed was the final clash. Kaelen pinned Thane to the ancient altar stone. As the bond pulsed, Lyra pressed her alpha mark against the stone. Chanting just like that, everything changed. The altar stone began to glow with a blinding, golden light. Kaelen, looking directly at the crowd, behold the true blood bond. He pressed his lips to Lyra's marked hand. Lyra is the Luna of the Borderlands. She is the future. The bond sealed, Thane was arrested. Lyra, now, about that Luna title, is it just political or? Kaelen, taking her in his arms, it was political until you fought for my soul, Lyra, and she let it happen, the final surrender of his guarded heart. I am free, Lyra, and I am hopelessly, eternally devoted to you. I want the other half. Lyra, smiling, then your debt is truly paid, King Kaelen. Maybe it was fate, but I accept the terms of the bond. 5 years later. The Borderlands were now the Sunstone sanctuary. Kaelen, less rigid, stood on a bridge with Lyra, the respected Luna. Not only that, but between them skipped their daughter, Ilara, a permanent, visible testament to the successful union. Kaelen, she embodies the freedom Ilara gave us. Lyra, and you, my king, rarely look over your shoulder now. Kaelen, pulling Lyra close, why would I? I have nothing left to fear losing, because the greatest strength of an alpha is not isolation, but vulnerability. You taught me that. Ilara saved my life, Lyra, but you taught me how to live it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more epic werewolf romance audiobooks.